anti-corruption. Donald Trump's the most corrupt guy to ever sit in the Oval Office, even though they say that they're, for the list goes on and on, right? It's the list that we have spoken about earlier. But when will you stop giving certain people at this event, for example, the benefit of the doubt in terms of their actions not matching up to their rhetoric?
Yeah. So I think some things are clear, right? So, for example, we're not going to win on a whole heap of issues, right? So, like, if I try to convince them that the crypto bros are going in the wrong direction, I'm
Right.
going to get massive blowback, and I'm never going to win on that. Okay.
Correct.
In today's video, Tyler Cohen absolutely destroys Cenk Uygur in a heated debate on MAGA and the left. Cenk Uygur thought he could tiptoe into MAGA waters without getting called out, but Tyler Cohen was not about to let that slide. In this explosive exchange, Brian corners Cenk on his recent soft takes toward MAGA voters and forces him to face the uncomfortable truth. You can't claim to be a progressive while pandering to the far right. Brian brings the heat with facts, consistency, and the exact kind of pressure Cenk clearly wasn't ready for. So let's dive in and watch how Tyler Cohen shuts down Cenk Uygur in this heated debate.
So that's going to take 4 years and probably us getting robbed to the tune of a couple of $1 trillion before they realize that mistake. Okay, so I'm super realistic about all of these different things. I think that on corruption, they're never going to want to admit in the beginning that Trump is doing favors for their donors. Although, again, I see right-wing hosts and people in their audience going, I understand what you're saying about Jeff Yaz and TikTok. I understand what you're saying about electric vehicles and Elon. So that's the beginning, right? It's not the end. So then my best guess is the anti-war stuff is where the rubber hits the road. So he put in, and Brian, parts of your audience, parts of the left-wing hosts, etc., might not love this, but my sense is that the rubber's probably going to hit the road on Israel. And so here's why. Because Trump put in Marco Rubio, Elise Stefanik, Mike Huckabee, and Mike Walls as Team Miriam. That's his,
Right.
the 4 people that he's handing foreign policy to. Miriam Adelson is a supporter of the hard right wing in Israel. And so they're going to push towards outrageous positions like annexing the West Bank, annexing northern Gaza. Israeli press has already written about this. Israeli cabinet ministers are already excited about this. If they try to annex, for example, the West Bank, it probably will lead to a vicious, bloody war. But I don't know the contours of it. They might just slaughter the Palestinians again. And I'm not naive enough to think that MAGA is going to be like, oh my God, we're losing precious Palestinian and Muslim lives, right? No, but I think at some point they're going to say, look, guys, this is an America first. Why are we paying for another war of Israel? Why are we paying for another war of Israel, right?
Yeah.
So, and if they don't, though, and then they go, hey, you know what? I mean, now let's do an extreme example. If Trump helps Israel start a war with Iran and says we have to finance it, and they don't rebel, then I was totally wrong. And
I think
you see what I'm saying?
I understand completely, and these are good examples, and it's good to have this sense of like where it could go in the future, and I think that's a realistic example as well. But I think what you are probably giving more credit than I will is this sense that any of this stuff matters, because again, there has been they haven't shown any discernment thus far on any of the things that they claimed were their principles before, and so I'm skeptical at best of this notion that they're going to move away from Donald Trump as soon as he enacts any policy that goes against the grain in terms of what these people claim that they wanted. But again, remains to be seen. I hope you're right. I hope that they do show some discerning behavior toward Donald Trump. I'm skeptical that they will, but I guess we're going to see in the coming months and years here.
Cenk, to his credit, lays out a kind of long game theory. He's betting that if MAGA voters are exposed to just the right contradictions like Trump backing billionaires or pushing another foreign war, they'll finally flip. His example about Israel policy is compelling in theory. If Trump backs an aggressive war posture or forces US taxpayers to foot the bill for something deeply unpopular, maybe that's the breaking point. But Brian's not buying it, and frankly, neither am I. Because we've already seen Trump betray working class voters time and time again, from his tax cuts for the ultra wealthy, to union busting, to letting Big Pharma walk all over people during the pandemic, and the MAGA base stuck by him. We're supposed to believe that now, after years of authoritarian rhetoric, election denialism, and cheering for authoritarian strongmen, that a foreign policy misstep will be their red line? And let's not ignore the real concern here. Cenk's MAGA outreach sounds less like a bridge building project and more like playing footsie with people who've made it very clear who they really are.
I want to pivot over to the state of the media right now. Now, you have been, you and the team over at TYT have been critical of the left, certainly more critical of the left than the right is of the Republican Party, which, that's your prerogative. You're certainly more critical of the Democratic Party than I am. I think that I can learn more from you in terms of bolstering independent media bona fides by virtue of doing that more. And I also think that there's a time and a place to do it. But, we are in a media environment right now where we often see that left-wing media kind of bolsters its progressive bona fides by criticizing the left. Right-wing media bolsters its conservative bona fides also by criticizing the left. And so given that massive disparity, especially in light of how it presented itself ahead of this election, where, so many people are consuming independent media right now, and that informs so much of their political affiliation. And if it feels like the left is getting hit, or the Democrats are getting hit from both sides, it really isn't that surprising then that the Democrats would turn in such a poor performance in this election. Again, if people are really gaining their knowledge from what they see on indie media, does that inform a little bit of how you're going to operate moving forward in this kind of new media environment with so many people kind of sprinting away from legacy media and coming toward independent media, and seeing how the asymmetry in that media ecosystem manifested itself in this election to the benefit of Republicans?
Yeah, so I disagree with one of the assumptions that you layered in there that's so important. I'll get to that in a second. So there's two parts of this conversation. Number one, we do a news show, so we're just going to be honest, period. So
right.
If the Democrats are doing something wrong, we're going to say it. We don't care when, we don't care where, we don't care if people go, no, that's not good marketing for the Democratic Party. That's not my business. That's not my job. My job is to be honest. So same with the Republicans. Oh, no, don't hurt Donald Trump's feelings. No, I'm going to hurt his feelings. I don't care. That's not my job, is to protect Kamala Harris or Donald Trump's feelings or their political career or either party. We're just going to do an honest news show. Young Turks Live, 6 o'clock Eastern. Check it out every day and you'll be amazed. Okay, so, and it's funny that that's like a unique thing in American media.
Now, Cenk makes a fair point about honesty in the media being critical, but Brian Tyler Cohen is right to press on the impact of that honesty and how it's being applied. At a time when right-wing media is an all-out propaganda machine pretending that left-leaning independent media should spend equal or more time attacking Democrats in the name of balance, just feeds into the broader disinformation and false equivalence ecosystem. Brian's broader point is crucial. When both sides of the media spectrum are hammering Democrats nonstop, one in bad faith and the other in pursuit of honest journalism, it creates a feedback loop that benefits the GOP. The audience doesn't always distinguish between legitimate critique and manufactured outrage. They just hear Democrats suck from every direction and check out. And Cenk's MAGA outreach fits into this pattern. His attempt to engage disaffected Trump voters might sound like populist strategy, but in practice it often ends up soft-pedaling the extremists that defines the modern Republican base.
Yeah. Okay, now let's go to the core of what you're asking, though, in terms of strategy on the left and on the Democratic side.
And I asked this question that you're going to get into because, obviously you're a progressive and you want to see progressivism win out in the United States, as do I. And so it's not, this isn't, you're not Reuters, right? So that's why I asked. There is a sense of like, there is activism that you want to see happening. And so Just wanted to like lay that out, but go on.
Yeah, I totally get it. And so to your point, Brian, so what we do on the Young Turks is we give you the facts first, and those are non-negotiable. Then we do perspective journalism, especially me, right? And so that's where I get into strategy and what's the best way for progressives and populists to win, et cetera, et cetera. So that let's address that part of it now. So, in my opinion, there's three wings of the Democratic Party. There's the establishment wing, there's the populist wing, and then there's what I call the far left wing, right? And you can call that anything you like, and I'm not trying to be offensive about it. And in fact, in that Amfest discussion, I said, for example, I'm extreme left on gun control. I know that my positions would not win in America. They would be very normal in Europe, but in America we have no chance of passing my gun control policies. Okay, so now between these three wings, the establishment wing is Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, Pelosi, Clinton, etc. That has led to electoral disaster, and it has done it so with incredible haughtiness. They told us, no, Hillary Clinton is definitely going to win. And this riff-raff Bernie Sanders, nobody wants populism. Well, they were 100% wrong. 100% wrong. So, by the way, Bernie Sanders had a 12-point lead on Election Day in 2016. Obviously, the campaign would have changed that, but I'd much rather start with have a 12-point lead than lose as Hillary Clinton did. But Joe Biden barely won with 43,000 votes in 3 swing states in 2020, even though Trump was awful and he could barely beat him. And then obviously Kamala Harris not only lost every swing state, but the popular vote. So guys, you've got to face reality. Like there's what the world you want and the world as it actually exists. And the world as it actually exists despises this establishment. The right wing does, the left wing does, the middle does, the independents do. So if you keep going, well, look, we've got a new and improved corporate robot, Pete Buttigieg. He's going to go out there and he's going to be in a flannel jacket and he's going to have a populist script. It's never going to work. It's never going to work. America does not want someone who takes donor money, has pretty little talking points, and then does what the donors want. Okay? So please stop losing. Please, I'm begging you. If you don't want Trump, you don't want MAGA in charge, stop going with the wrong strategy. So then you've got the far left, and they say, no, we should have maximalist positions. So on trans issues, I don't want a moderate position. Just give me everything. Give me everything. Everybody has to be called a birthing person. Everybody, change sex operations for people under 18 is fine. No, are you okay? They have to be forced. The professional sports leagues have to be forced to allow trans women, etc. Look, even if you think those maximalist positions are wonderful and exactly right and the most moral thing to do, America is not there. You have to win over America so that you can win elections with that strategy. Right now, if you go with my gun control policy or maximalist positions on crime, trans issues, etc., you're going to lose.
Look, no one's saying you can't talk to disaffected voters. Progressives should always make the case to working class folks, even ones who voted for Trump. But there's a huge difference between having real conversations and bending your position or tone to appeal to a base that has consistently rejected the core values of the progressives. Cenk tries to paint the Democratic establishment as the only failure here, but conveniently ignores that MAGA candidates backed by Trump got demolished in 2022 in key races. And while he complains about Hillary and Biden squeaking by, what's his solution? Trying to win over a crowd that booed John McCain, believes January 6th was patriotic, and has shown zero interest in good faith compromise. Brian's point about independent media feeding this MAGA curiosity loop is key. If left media starts echoing the same voter sympathy takes that Fox News runs, they're just frustrated workers without clearly drawing moral lines around racism, authoritarianism, or anti-LGBTQ attacks, then we're just normalizing extremism under the guise of populism. And this whole idea that we need to soften on issues like trans rights to win, that's a political myth. The truth is, when Democrats run on protecting marginalized communities and expanding healthcare and wages, they win. Brian's critique is on point. If we spend all our time chasing MAGA voters who won't budge while punching left and blaming wokeness, we're not building a winning coalition. We're just burning bridges with the people actually fighting for justice and democracy. Pause. Are you getting tired of getting half the story from biased news sources? One outlet says one thing and another says the complete opposite. How are you supposed to know what's actually true? That's where ground news comes in. It lets you compare how different media outlets, left, right, and center are covering the same story. So you can see the full picture instead of just the echo chamber. And here's the best part. Click the link in the description and get 40% off the Vantage tier, which gives you even deeper insights into media bias and political trends. Stay informed, think for yourself, and check out Ground News in the description down below.